will need, like the Kennedys needed the civil rights movement, that Obama will need a parallel activist activity. And we hope to be a part of that. I was supposed to say that during my sermon.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, sister. You're all set to go.
Have a seat. Let's start over here. Go ahead with your question.
Hi. After watching the documentary What Would You Buy last winter, my boyfriend and I tried to give each other gifts that were homemade or tried not to buy at big supermarkets, but we found it very difficult, especially in LA, to find things that were made in the US or shops where we can contribute to the local economy. So I wonder if you have any suggestions, and especially with giving gifts, how you can do that.
I think the first thing we always say is the greatest gift you can give is your time, and I don't mean that in some sort of fruity way at all, but like really that's what we all have a shortage of today more than anything else. But there are some incredible resources for gift giving. The first one I would send anyone to is called Responsible Shopper, and it has a sort of exhaustive list of many different places where you can order things, as well as actual storefront locations where you can go buy things. And I know and sympathize with the challenge of finding things to shop for that you can feel good about buying. I mean, making things is always great, of course, and also it's a very rewarding experience to find someone who has made something. So even if you have to seek that person out, there are hundreds, probably thousands of artisans working in the LA area. I mean, it's known for that, right? There's so much space here that people can have working studios here. So, you know, finding someone who's making bowls or a potter or a carver or something, and you know, those things in your mind seem like, oh, that's going to be terribly expensive, but a lot of times it isn't, and then there's this amazing story you're telling with that object or that person.
I just add to that, farmers markets in LA, you can always find handmade things. Also trades. Give something to somebody, trade off something. I also want, you said you'd seen the film. Do you want to say anything about the, What Would You Say?
Sure. We spent a month on the road, almost 3 years ago now, hard to believe, traveling from New York City to Los Angeles with the film crew in a movie called What Would Jesus Buy that was produced by Morgan Spurlock, who you may remember from Super Size Me. And the movie details our trip across the country, as well as a lot of issues that are specifically related to Christmas shopping, and then addresses broader, sort of more global issues about shopping and our current consumer economy. And it is available on DVD now. You can find it on our website and lots of small shops. So it's a good Christmas present before Christmas.
If I can add on to that, but if you get the DVD, to be sure to watch the bonus features. There's a really powerful interview of a Chinese woman who was put in jail and forced to do slave labor, putting together Christmas tree lights as her punishment for being a Christian. It's very moving and very powerful. And the Constitution song is in there too, so that's great. That's like the best. Are you done? Oh wait, no, it's a new person, sorry.
Yeah. It's your turn. We're going to go back and forth, so
Okay.
Go ahead with the question.
Reverend Billy, I have a question. I know you've been arrested many times, and I was wondering, have there been long-term consequences for so many arrests? And have you ever actually been convicted, and are you a criminal?
It's the irony that faces us at this moment. We're feeling it up here among the choir that I was arrested at a Starbucks here in Reseda, just a few blocks from where we sit right now.
4 years ago.
And some of it got into the movie. Not much of the trial got into the movie, but the exorcism. I was inside that Starbucks with 30 Northridge students. And I think because the Starbucks people thought, oh, that's a good jury pool there for conviction. And they came after us, and we got a letter in New York almost a year later that we'd been banned from all the Starbucks in the state of California. They couldn't come within 750 feet of the edge of the property.
It's like sexual harassment.
And yes, thank you, Laura. They use the same form that is used for stalking. So, and they actually said that, Reverend Billy, you are enjoined to refrain from disturbing, sexually harassing, or stalking the computerized cash registers of Starbucks Corporation.
And let me just add that the
cash register at the Starbucks is much more protected than most victims of domestic violence at this point. So it's just an added like insult to the irony here that that you can press charges against an individual for that, but not for actual domestic violence.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So despite the fact that we had a wonderful lawyer, Art Goldberg, from the Working People's Law Center, and we did a fundraiser for Art last night in Echo Park. We had a wonderful defense, but Starbucks, I think that even dismissing several people who just shouted that they love Starbucks, we still ended up with, I think, 9 of the people on the 12 were regular, every week,
Every day.
Starbucks
Probably twice a day.
people. And I was convicted of obstructing the lawful business because in one of their surveillance tapes, they had a lady standing there with her money in her hand, and while I was exercising the cash register, she had to wait a second. So I was miffed, and at the guilty, after I was able to do a big speech. I was able to give them a sermon. Maybe they hated the sermon. Maybe that's why I got convicted. And the jury said, I think it was a $600 fine and guilty on this one count. And I said, no, I'm going to jail. And that was a mistake.
Oh, well, let me just add about that. This is fascinating, I think, in a larger issue. At that moment, he can either pay about, it's not just $600 because there are additional court fees on top of that. He can pay about $1,800 to $2,000 at that moment and not go to jail. But, I mean, just visit for a second how many people are not in that position to have a choice in that moment. So you can see that selection process in which people go to jail or not. And I would like to address the question of, are you a criminal? I mean, this is a political speech, right? Now, things did get a little rowdy at that Starbucks. I'm not saying they didn't. It was more rowdy than many of our actions, but the criminalization of dissent and protest in this country is a major problem and is something that paralyzes, I think, a lot of youth movements in particular, because